Load. Oh, yeah, here we go. 881, stage 10. Oh, the system is quite slow today. Okay,
Mm,
881, stage 10. Okay, so let's start with our revision. Let me just scroll down to the beginning page. Okay, here we go. First question. What can cause cracks in walls and ceilings? What can cause cracks in walls and ceilings? H. Dampness,
H.
dryness,
Dumbness,
or bad
dryness,
workmanship
or bad workmanship
can cause cracks
can
in
cause
walls
cracks
and
in walls
ceilings.
and ceilings.
Very good. What does the verb to spin mean? What does the verb to spin mean? The verb
The verb
to spin
speed
means
to speed
to
means
turn round
to
and round
run around
very quickly
very quickly
and
or
make
and
something
make
turn
something turn
round and round very
round and
quickly.
round very quickly.
Very good. What are the three forms of spin? What are the three forms of spin? The three forms
The three
of spin
of Spain
are
are
spin, spun,
spin,
spun.
spot, on.
What's a spin dryer? What's a spin dryer? A spin
A
dryer
speed
is a
dryer
machine
is a
that
machine
dries clothes
that dries
by
clothes
spinning them
by spinning
round
them
very quickly.
round, flip around very quickly.
Very good. Okay, next. Do you think most people join gyms mainly because they want to become slimmer rather than because they want to get fit? Do you think most people join gyms mainly because they want to become slimmer rather than because they want to get fit? Yes or no?
Yes.
I think
I
most
think most
people
people
join
join
gyms mainly because
mainly
they
because
want to
they want
become
to get
slimmer
become fully mom.
rather than because they want
Become
to get fit.
because they want to get fit.
Very good. If you're an actress, what kind of role would you like to play in a film? If you're an actress, what kind of role would you like to play in a film? If I
If
were an
an
actress,
actress,
I'd like to
I,
play
I'd like to
the
play
role of.
the role of queen.
Very good. Do you think computers will ever replace school teachers in the classroom? Do you think computers will ever replace school teachers in the classroom? Yes or no?
No,
I don't think
I don't think
computers will
computers
ever
will
replace
ever replace
school teachers
school
in the
teachers
classroom.
in in the classroom.
Very good. Is it always necessary to book a table before going to a restaurant? Is it always necessary to book a table before going to a restaurant? No,
No,
it
it
isn't
isn't
always
always
necessary
necessary
to book
to
a
book
table
a table
before going
before
to a
going
restaurant.
to a restaurant.
Very good. Do famous actors, singers, or entertainers normally make their own arrangement with the venues they were booked to perform? Do famous actors, singers, or entertainers normally make their own arrangement with the venue they were booked to perform? No.
No,
Famous actors,
famous actors
singers, or
and uh,
entertainers
and entertainers
don't normally make
don't normally make
their own arrangements
their own
with the
arrangement
venues
in the
where
venues
they're booked to
where they
perform. Booked
where
to
they
booked to perform.
uh, where they are booked to perform.
They've nearly always
They
got
very because
they've they've nearly
uh, they nearly
always got
always
managers
got
who
managers
make their
who make
arrangements
who make their
for
arrangements
them.
for them.
Very good. Give me an example of the word anyway with the meaning of despite that. Give me an example of the word anyway with the meaning of despite that. His English is
English
very good
is
indeed,
really good. His English is really good indeed.
but he wants
But
to
he
do
wants
lessons
to
anyway.
do lessons anyway.
Very good. Give me an example of anyway used in order to give another reason for something. Give me an example of anyway used in order to give another reason for something. I think they're
I
too
think
young. I
I
think
think
they're too young
I think they are too young
to get married,
to get
and
married,
I'm not
and I'm not
even
sure,
sure
even sure
they really
if
love each
they're
other
really
anyway.
anyway.
Very good. Give me an example of the word anyway used in order to change the subject of a conversation or return to a subject that was being talked about previously. Give me an example of anyway used in order to change the subject of a conversation or return to a subject that was being talked about previously. So, anyway.
So anyway,
After the film,
after the
we
film,
decided
we
to go
decided
to
to
a club.
go to the club.
Very good. What's the noun of the adjective warm? What's the noun of the adjective warm? The noun
The noun
of the
of
adjective
the
warm
adjective
is
warm
warmth.
is warmth.
Very good. Should we always remove muddy shoes before entering a house? Should we always remove muddy shoes before entering a house? Yes, we
Yes,
should always
we should always
remove
remove
muddy shoes
muddy shoes
before
before
entering a house.
entering a house.
Very good. Make a sentence with the word meanwhile. Make a sentence with the word meanwhile, please. Chris was
Chris
doing
was
his
doing
homework,
his homework,
and meanwhile,
and
the
meanwhile,
other
the
children
other
were
children
playing
were
football
playing
in the
football.
garden. Very good. What do we mean when we say that a chicken pecks the ground? What do we mean when we say that a chicken pecks the ground? When we say
When we
that a
say
chicken
that the chicken
pecks
pecked
the ground,
the
we
ground,
mean that
we mean
it
that
picks up food
it picks up food
from the
from
ground with its
with
beak.
its beak.
Very good. What do we call the blocks of hard clay that are commonly used to make buildings? What do we call the blocks of hard clay that are commonly used to make buildings? We call
We
the
call
blocks
the
of hard
block
clay
of hard clay
that are commonly
that
used
are commonly
to make
used
buildings
to make buildings
bricks.
bricks.
Very good. What else can we make from clay? What else can we make from clay? We can make
We
plates,
can make plates,
cups,
cups,
etc. from
etc.
clay.
from plates.
Very good. Why do the police sometimes block a road? Why do the police sometimes block a road? The police sometimes
The place
block a
sometimes
road
broke a load,
because,
block a road, because they want to check somebody.
very good. What is cream and where does it come from? What is cream and where does it come from? Cream is the
Clean
fatty
cream
part
is fatty part
of milk
of
or
milk
anything
or
which looks
anything which look
or feels similar to it,
which looks same and
or which looks or feels
which looks and feels
similar to it.
similar to it.
Reggie, do you believe it's worth spending money on expensive face creams? Do you believe it's worth spending money on expensive face creams? Yes or no?
No,
I don't
I
believe
don't
it's
believe
worth spending
well
money
spending money
on expensive
on
face
expensive
creams.
face cream.
Very good. Do you spring out of bed in the morning? Do you spring out of bed in the morning? Yes or no?
No,
I don't spring out
don't bring
of
out
bed
of
in the morning.
bed in the morning.
Very good. What are the three forms of spring? What are the three forms of spring? The three
The
forms
three
of
forms
spring
of spring
are
are
spring, sprang,
spring,
sprung. Can you feel the springs inside the mattress on your bed? Can you feel the springs inside the mattress on your bed? Yes or no?
no.
I can't feel
Can't
the
feel
springs
the
inside
springs
the mattress
inside the
on my bed.
mattress on my bed.
Very good. Are cats well known for having a curious nature? Are cats well known for having a curious nature? Yes,
Yeah,
cats are well
cats are
known for
known
having
for
a curious
having
nature.
curious nature.
If you heard a curious noise outside your room in the middle of the night, would you stay in bed or go and investigate? If you heard a curious noise outside your room in the middle of the night, would you stay in bed or go and investigate? If I heard
If I
a
heard
curious noise
a curious noise
outside my room
outside of my
in
room
the middle of the
in
night,
the of the night,
I'd
I
and
I stay in bed.
I'd stay in bed. Very good. What do we call the police officer who investigates crimes? What do we call a police officer who investigates crimes? We call
We call
a
a
police
police
officer who
officer who
investigates crimes
investigates
a
crime
detective.
a detective.
Are you keen on sport? Are you keen on sport? Yes or no?
No,
I'm not
I'm not
keen on
in
sport.
on sports.
Are young children nearly always keen to learn new things? Are young children nearly always keen to learn new things? Yes,
Yes,
young children
young
are
children are
nearly always
nearly always
keen to learn
keen to
new
learn
things.
new things.
About how many extra articles of clothing would you say the average person wore on a cold winter's day? About how many extra articles of clothing would you say the average person wore on a cold winter's day? I'd say
I'd
the
say
average person
every person
wore about
wore about more
Extra articles
two
of clothing
extra hours of
on a
cloth
cold winter's day.
on the cold winter's day.
What kind of people write articles in newspapers? What kind of people write articles in newspapers? The kind of
The
people
kind of
who
people
write
who
articles
write
in
articles in
newspapers are
newspapers
professional
are
writers
professional writers
or people
or people
who have special
who have
knowledge
the knowledge
of particular
of
subjects.
your subjects.
Very good. Okay, if you work as a journalist, what kind of articles would you like to write? If you work as a journalist, what kind of article would you like to write? If I work
If I
as a
were
journalist,
as a
I'd
journalist,
like to write
I'd like
about.
to write about uh, local restaurants.
Very good. What do we mean when we say that someone behaves badly? What do we mean when we say that someone behaves badly? When
When,
boldly? When we say
when we
that
said
someone behaves
someone
boldly,
behaves
we mean
boldly, we
that
mean that they have
they behave courageously
they behave courageously
or confidently
or confidently
and without fear.
or without fear.
Greg, do you think clothes in bold colors suit you? Do you think clothes in bold colors suit you? Yes or no?
Mm, no,
I don't think
I don't think
clothes in
clothes
bold colors
in bold
suit me.
colors suit me.
Greg, why do we sometimes type a word in a document in bold? Why do we sometimes type a word in a document in bold? We sometimes
And
type
sometimes
a word
I have
in a
words
document
in
in
a
bold
document in
so
bold
that the word
so that
is
the
more
word is
noticeable is more
more
noticeable
noticeable
on the page.
is more noticeable on the page.
Very good. Okay. What am I doing? What am I doing? You're striking your pen
Just writing your pen
on the table.
on the table.
Where if you were struck by lightning and survived, would the experience change the way you felt about your life? If you were struck by lightning and survived, would the experience change the way you felt about your life? Yes or no?
Yes.
If I were struck
If I were struck
by lightning
by
and
lightning
survive,
and survive,
the experience
the
would
experience
change the
is
way I
the
felt
way I
about my
felt
life.
about life.
Right? If you were on your way to a friend's birthday party and it suddenly struck you that you'd forgotten their present, would you go back and get it or would you just go without it? If you're on your way to a friend's birthday party and suddenly struck you that you've forgotten their present, would you go back and get it or would you just go without it? If I were
If
on
I
my
were
way
on my way
to a
to
friend's birthday
friend's
party
birthday party
and it suddenly
and
struck
it
me
suddenly struck me
that I'd forgotten
that I
their
forgotten I
present,
forgotten that
I'd
person, I'd go back
and get it.
and get it.
Wait, if we describe a building as striking, what do we mean? If we describe a building as striking, what do we mean? If we describe
We
a building
we describe a
as
building
striking,
striking.
we mean that
It means
it is
that
interesting
it is
and
interesting
attracts our
and attracts
attention
our attention
because it looks
because
different
it looks different
from other buildings.
from other buildings.
Very good. Okay. Do you think that people who shoplift should be imprisoned? Do you think people who shoplift should be imprisoned? Yes or no?
Yeah,
I think that
I
people
think the
who
people
shoplift
who shoplift
should be imprisoned.
should be in
Very
prison.
good. Is there a cure for the common cold? Is there a cure for the common cold? Yes or no?
Yes,
There's a cure
there are cure
for a common cold.
cold.
Do you usually take a cold remedy to make you feel better when you have a cold? Do you usually take a cold remedy to make you feel better when you have a cold? Yes or no?
No,
I don't
I
usually
don't usually
take
take
a cold remedy
cold remedy
to make me feel
to make
better
me feel better
when I have a cold.
when I'm cold.
Very good. Okay. Next, what type of aircraft take off vertically? What type of aircraft take off vertically? Helicopters and
Helicopters
certain
and
special
certain
airplanes
airplanes
take off vertically.
take off vertically.
Very good. Okay, so that's the end of our revision. Let's have new word. Okay, repeat. Stain,
Stain,
woodwork,
woodwork,
ink.
ink.
Very good. Okay, listen. The word stain could be a noun or a verb. As a noun, it means a dirty mark on something that is difficult to remove. For example, children sometimes leave a stain on their shirt when they eat chocolate. Stain can also be a verb. If you stain wood, you put a substance on it and that change its color. The word woodwork is a noun which means something that is made of wood. For example, some people prefer to stain woodwork rather than paint it because the woodwork looks more natural if it is stained. Ink means a colored liquid used for writing, printing, and drawing. For example, if I discovered an ink stain on an article of clothing, I try to remove it by washing it. Let's practice. Why do some people prefer to stain woodwork rather than paint it? Why do some people prefer to stain woodwork rather than paint it? Some people
Some
prefer
people
to
prefer
stain woodwork
to stay with
rather
work
than paint it
rather than paint it
because the woodwork
because the
looks
woodwork
more
looks
natural
more
if
natural
it is stained.
if
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 it
it's
is stained,
if it is painted.
Greg, if you discovered an ink stain on an article of clothing, how would you try to remove it? If you discovered an ink stain on an article of clothing, how would you try to remove it? If I
If
discovered
I discovered
an ink stain
an ink stink
on an article of
on the
clothing,
of clothing,
I tried to remove it
I could go
by
and move by mhm, by washing it.
washing it. Very good. Okay. Next. What does the word creep mean? What does the word oh next. Repeat creep, crep, crep.
Creep, clapped, clapped.
Very good. Okay, listen. The word creep means either to move forwards very slowly or to move slowly and quietly so that nobody hears you. The paradigm of creep is creep, crep, crep. Okay, let's practice. What does the word creep mean? What does the word creep mean? The word creep
The word
means
creep means
either to move
either
forwards
to or forward,
very slowly
very slowly,
or to move
or
slowly
to move
and
slowly
quietly
and
so
quietly,
that nobody hears you.
that nobody hears you.
Give me an example of each. Give me an example of each, please. The traffic
The
was
traffic
creeping along
was creeping along
very slowly,
very slowly,
owing to the fact
all,
that
only
several
the fact
roads
that several
has
roads
been blocked by
had
the
been
police.
blocked by the police.
Elizabeth crept into the room,
Elizabeth, Elizabeth crept
into the
into the
room,
room
so as not to wake
so as not to wake
the baby.
the baby.
Very good. Next, repeat passage.
Passage,
Extract.
extract.
Very good. Okay, listen. Passage and extract are nouns. The word passage can mean a long, narrow space, generally between two buildings, or inside a building, like a corridor. It can also mean a short extract from a speech or a piece of writing. Okay, let's practice. What does the word passage mean? What does the word passage mean? The word
The word
passage
passage
can
mean
mean a
can mean
long, narrow
a
space,
long, narrow space,
generally between
generally
two
between
buildings,
two
or
buildings
inside a
or
building,
inside the building,
like a corridor.
like a corridor.
It can also mean
It can also
a
mean
short
a
extract
short extra
from a speech
from
or a
speech
piece of
or
writing.
piece of writing.
Very good. Next, repeat steer,
Fear,
steering wheel.
steering wheel.
Very good.
Okay.
Okay, listen. Steer is a verb which means to control the direction of something like a car. For example, he's steering his car out of the garage. Steering wheel is a noun. It is a wheel that a driver turns to control a car. Okay, let's practice. What am I pretending to do? What am I pretending to do? You're
You
pretending
are
to
you're
steer a
pretending
car.
to steer a car.
And what do we call the thing I'm pretending to hold? And what do we call the thing I'm pretending to hold? We call the thing.
You will call the
You're
things
pretending to
you're
hold
pretending to hold
a steering wheel.
a steering wheel
Very good. Next, repeat aside.
aside.
Very good. Okay, listen. The word aside means on one side or to one side. Okay, let's practice. What does the word aside mean? What does the word aside mean? The word.
The
Aside
word
means
aside
on
means
one side
on one
or
side,
to one side.
on one side, or to one side.
Reggie, do you put money aside each month to save for any special purpose? Do you put money aside each month to save for any special purpose? Yes or no?
Yes.
I put money aside
I put money
each
aside
month to
each
save
month
for some
to save
special
for
purpose.
some purpose.
Reggie, during an evening out with friends, would you have to take somebody aside from the rest of the group if you wanted to speak to them in private? During an evening out with friends, would you have to take somebody aside from the rest of the group if you wanted to speak to them in private? Yes. During an
Yes.
evening out
During evening
with
out
friends,
with
I'd have
friend,
to take
I'd had to
somebody
take
aside
somebody
from the
aside
rest of the
from
group
the rest of the
if
group.
I wanted
So I wanted
to speak to them
wanted to
in
speak
private.
to them in private.
Very good. Okay, so now let's move on to reading. Okay, so our reading is at stage 10, paragraph page 855. Okay, and our last head word was give in. Okay, please start at page 856, French.
Okay, stretch.